Hello, everyone. I'm back again. This is day 5 of the 14-day trial of Stocks to Trade, primarily using the tool Oracle. This is what Oracle is looking like today. Today's Monday, June 17th. Um, I did trade today, and it was actually a losing trade. I am quite disappointed, but I try to have a plan and keep my loss um, caught him as fast as I could. Um, the one trade that I took was on there, which is right here on the bottom. And let me just sort this out by volume. There we go. It's right here in the middle of the screen. I was looking at this one specifically in pre-market. Um, the During pre-market hours, the resistance was actually at $1, and then it broke a little bit over the $1 and dropped again. So because of that, the resistance was changed to 105, and the signal trigger at 102. However, above 105 was looking pretty good because the pre-market highs were somewhere in the 120s, 125, I believe. So that that is the main reason this one caught my attention. So and had a press release today. It's a medium float, about 16 million shares. Obviously, it had the right amount of volume. So I figure, okay, well, this one is the one I'm going to focus on. I did look at some other ones, such as SLS, which is obviously very cheap and appealing to me. Um, but I wasn't too convinced when I looked at the chart. So um, their DARE sounded more like it would actually give me what I was looking for. So let's take a look at the chart real quick. And this is their 1 minute on the left, 5 minutes on the right, and the daily chart here on the bottom. Um, so I had a press release early in the morning. This is just kind of repeats, but basically saying that they had positive results. Um, as you can see here. So it's, different news sources obviously will kind of throw out the news with different verbiages, but the actual news came out at 8 a.m. That's the first time they came out. So, and as you can see here on the 5 minute chart in the pre-market, which is this grayed out area, it went all the way up to a high of 125. So when I hover over the candle, in case you haven't noticed this, it'll show you here the high, the low, the opening of that candle, and the closing of that candle. So basically, when I hover over that candle, I can see it open at 115, the high was 125, the low was 106, and the closing was 112. Um, and then obviously it dropped back down, which is for a stock this cheap, it's probably normal because there's a lot of people that are really cheap prices, and every cent that moves counts. So the percentages are quite bigger when you have that kind of move, and people look to sell. So then started curling back up, and here's the open. Now, you can see here on the 1 minute chart, the open, as soon as it opened, it ripped to all the way to 112. So that was too fast for me. The signal was on Stocks to Trade and Oracle pretty much almost right away. Uh, it updated fast, and by the time it was literally a matter of seconds. So I looked at it, it was there. Then I looked at the chart and looked at the level twos, and the stock is already like at 104. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, well, 105 is resistance. Um, I was afraid that it was going to turn back around and maybe bounced a little bit here and kind of between the resistance level and the moving averages before it had a run, but it actually just went right through it, and then it went to 112 pretty fast. So within the first 2 minutes, it was at 112. Then you had a little bit of a sell-off, a lot of resistance. It comes back to 112, and it double tops there. And I almost got in here looking for that breakout and the opportunity to test the pre-market highs. but there was a ton of sellers in the level two when you looked at the level two here. So I didn't want to risk it, and I figured, okay, I'm just gonna wait for this then to actually calm down and maybe consolidate for a little bit. Then it had this kind of nasty drop over here, and I was like, all right, well, that was pretty good that I didn't enter the trade. Consolidates here for a little bit, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, okay, well, it's kind of forming a flat top right here, a pivot at 104. As you can see, it touched it. When it dropped, it came back down on this candle. 104 was the opening, dropped, then a green candle, touched 104, drop, consolidate a little bit lower, 104 again on this green candle. That's a triple top. Then the next one, another one, the next one, another one. So 104 was obviously a clear point of resistance. Then it comes back down. And as it's getting through this candle here, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to enter the trade at 104. I'm going to wait for it to actually get to 105. And then at 105, I'll go in. I am literally down here getting my order ready. And as soon as I type in, I got in with 700 shares. And I got, let me bring my orders windows here. I got a pretty bad fail because it just pops so fast. Um, buy order 700 shares, I got a 107.65. I mean, I literally clicked it as soon as I saw the buying volume. And obviously, it's a market order, and I know that there's a risk of slippage, um, but it happens. So I figure, okay, well, 107, it's not that bad. It's not ideal. I would have liked more something like somewhere along the lines of 106. Um, to my plan was to take some profit either around 110 or 111, and then let the rest of it go, run or break even. But I get in when I see my orders window is 107. I was like, so I figure my stop is gonna be 102, which is pretty much this level here where you see all these candles just kind of bouncing around. So, or actually right here, I'm sorry. So I didn't want to go any lower than that. It's also, you can see there's sort of a trend line going on. So I figure, well, if it goes below 102 or if it reaches 102 and it's looking weak, like it's gonna crack, then technically there's gonna be a crack of that trend line, at the same time crack of a little bit of support. As you can see here, there was resistance at some point, then it became support. So I was like, all right, I gotta cut out at that point. So my plan originally was, okay, 105, 3 cents of room to run or for cutting losses, so 102, and then obviously with the upside of, I was thinking at least 112, and then if it breaks that, then obviously 115, 120. So the entry point wasn't as ideal as I wanted it. I guess I could have adjusted my stop loss, but at the same time, I wasn't gonna give it enough room to run or to sort of consolidate. Um, so I stuck to my plan. I had a plan, and I figure I'm gonna stick with it. So I held through this. It came down so fast too as well, and I was like, oh no, and then it just, this candle, as you can see here, this red candle, it's very, it's all the way up to 108, 109, I believe, and then back down. So it was very whippy. Also, I'm looking at the fact that, okay, well, volume is increasing. We're breaking through VWAP. The moving averages are obviously coming up into VWAP. So I was looking, okay, well, if this thing keeps on going, then obviously the indicators are going to cross over and it's going to look a lot more bullish. But that was all obviously my plan in anticipation of that happening. Now, um, as I held through here, and then on this candle here, this is kind of where I took my loss, because I was like, all right, we have 102 here, 102 here, then a little bit of 103, 104, then 102 again, and I'm like, you know what, screw it. So I called it quits, sold it at 102.42, so that's just over 5 cents loss, um, and that was a $46. Uh, realized loss. And let me bring over this here. You'll see, so now my account value is back to under 800. So, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So, and hopefully the next trade will be a green trade where I'm uh, not continuing to lose. The last time my last trade was $68. So I want to try not to go under again of the remaining of those $68, which is probably about $22 difference right now. So the whole idea is to try to bring the account back up slowly but surely. So that is the plan. But anyway, so that's what happened in this trade. Oracle gave the levels. One thing that I noticed that I did not know, and I kind of learned it afterwards. You see the Oracle here is 102, then 105. When it broke, the next resistance level was actually 115, even though it never really reached that level. But one thing to notice is you see Oracle here, if you click on the ticker, you get the levels down here, this strip. So the black triangles is basically the current price, as you can see here, 93 cents. And the circles are the resistance or supports. So 95 will be a resistance point. From here on, then we have 99. So there's a 4 cents window there. This morning, when it was at this level, it was 102 and 105, and then you can see here 115. Had I actually noticed this right as the bell opened, I probably would have entered the trade at 104 in that very first minute, because then I would have said to myself, okay, if we with the amount of volatility that you get within the first 5 minutes, if we break through 105, then we're definitely going to be up at least in 110s. Um, and I could have done it with a stop loss of 102, which was the actual entry signal. So um, I didn't I didn't actually realize this tool was here. I just coincidentally happened to click on something, and this came up, and I was like, oh well, this is helpful information to know if you're focused on one stock. So there you have it. Losing trade today. We'll be back at it tomorrow for day 6. Again, I cannot trade tomorrow as I have to wait for my account to settle, so I won't be able to trade until Wednesday if I see an opportunity. But I will review what Oracle is showing us and see how it compares to some of the stocks that look interested to me, and see how the levels match up. See if the conditions were met and if there was opportunity based on the advice or the prediction that Oracle is giving you to make money. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates. Have a good one. Bye.